Hey everyone, welcome to Marketing for Designers podcast. I'm your host, Masha Coyne, a messaging strategist and a copywriter for the interior design industry. I've been marketing for over 2 decades, working for some of the biggest global firms. Today, I write website copy for designers like you using my signature voice of customer framework. This podcast is a bit of a passion project for me. If you're a designer looking to up your marketing game, elevate your online presence, and attract premium clients, you are in the right place. I am so happy that you're here. This podcast is all about sharing marketing stuff that actually works. I'm talking with professionals who know the ins and outs of marketing, from SEO experts to website designers, PR pros, branding specialists, and many, many more. But here's the really exciting part. I've also persuaded some incredibly successful interior designers to open up about their marketing journeys. It's like we're sneaking a peek under the hood of their businesses. They'll be talking about their marketing strategies and tactics that worked, the bullets they dodged, and even the missteps they made along the way. So you don't have to. It's real and it's packed with juicy lessons you won't find anywhere else. And of course, there will be episodes with just you and I, where I'll break down the secrets of killer website copy and messaging, giving you all the tools you need to attract your dream clients. So settle in and let's get into it. Here's to elevating the marketing of your interior design brand. So, if you've ever wondered why some designers seem to always be in the spotlight, featured in magazines, interviewed on podcasts, landing great projects, and other kind of visibility, often the secret is strategy. And at the heart of that strategy is a compelling brand story. So media professionals, potential clients, and industry leaders are not just looking for beautiful work or professional process. Like a lot of interior designers like you have that. But they're looking for people with a story that makes them lean in, pay attention, and remember you. So today's guest, I'm very excited about it. She's going to help us with that, learning how to craft that compelling brand story. Liana Zavo is a powerhouse PR executive, Forbes thought leader, and CEO of ZavoMedia PR Group. With 2 decades in the media industry and a track record of helping professionals and brands land high visibility opportunities, she knows exactly what makes a story pitch worthy. Liana, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Masha. This is exciting. I can't wait to get into the details.
Me too. So PR is a hot topic. Everybody knows that. But not a lot of people know how to get more visible, get more attention to your brand. So let's get into it. But the thing that I want to start with is, what's the difference between a bio, like a traditional bio, and an origin story, and why does it matter?
Absolutely. So let me first clarify what PR is. It's an underdog. Not a lot of people understand the significance of PR. So PR is about getting your message out there, and personal branding is showcasing what makes you unique. Mm-hmm. And so when you're crafting your story, it's about the passions, the challenges, what drives you, that makes you stand out. That is your origin story, right? You got into design for a reason. So you have a story. So use that story to your advantage so that you can create what challenges you overcame, what pivotal projects shaped your career. And that is your origin story. So craft it. And when it comes to bio is a little bit more general. You generalize it. When you're sending a bio, for example, to an organization because they want to utilize it for a keynote presentation, right? I'm hosting a summit in March for Women's History Month. So I ask all my panelists to send in their bio. I don't want them to send me the challenges they overcame and the pivotal moments. I want them to be straightforward. What are your accolades? Give me straightforward facts so that I can utilize that in my marketing material. When it comes to origin story, that's a little bit more hands-on, I would say. Again, mention your pivotal moments, your success story, so that we can feel that authentic emotional connection through your origin story. So I would say bio is very straightforward. Keep it short and concise with all your accolades, and so that we can get a quick idea as to what makes you credible. Why should you speak about that topic?
Interesting. Okay, so what I'm hearing is there is a time and a place for a bio. if you're applying to be a conference speaker, or if you're just attending a conference or something like that, there is a place where there's a time, it's the right context. That's where you use your bio. But your origin story, you use it, I guess, depending, to establish that emotional connection and depending on the context, like, I guess, to create that like bond or connection with your prospective customers, I guess.
Absolutely. So I would say origin story, I would use it in, for example, a media pitch. You want to send out a media pitch to a journalist and you say, you know what, this is my origin story. And that is when the journalists will connect with you on an emotional level. Journalists are looking for that emotional connection. We want to know, how did you come to that point in your life? What makes you significant? And why should we even bother getting you into a top tier publication? Or why should we even bother, having you speak on TV? So that is that origin story that will become relatable when you are sending it out to journalist media platforms.
Okay, that's cool. So you've mentioned a whole bunch of things, like what to include in your origin story. So bio, to me, it's pretty straightforward. It's your accolades, why are you experienced, like what your credibility is like, what your experience is like. With the origin story, so what should we consider? What do we include? Where do we start? Like, is there a set of questions that you should be asking yourself to kind of put it together? Can you walk us through a bit of a framework in terms of, here's how you start, here's what questions to ask yourself, and then here's how to put it together?
Yeah, I would say keep it very short and concise. Don't make it into a novel.
Okay.
The important thing is, think of it, why did you get into your profession? Why did you want to get into design? That should be the driving force. You obviously have a story, right? You got into design, so you have a story. Then out of that, you think, okay, what were my passions? What are the challenges? What is the outcome? What drives me? And what about the pivotal projects that shaped my career, my career, and what that shaped my career as a whole? So think about those pivotal projects, and those pivotal projects, right? Use them as case studies. Use that as a case study in your origin story. You should definitely PR all your passion projects. You shouldn't look at your projects that you have created and just let them gather dust, I say. Don't have them collect dust. Utilize them to your advantage, because treat them like clients. In your origin story, make sure that your projects are case studies and treat them like clients. Describe them. Use them as to what shaped you.
What do you think makes a really compelling origin story? Is it the kind of experience that you've had, or is it the type of work that you've been exposed to, or is it the type of challenge? Like what's that thing? What's that secret ingredient?
Authenticity. It comes down to authenticity. It's that human to human connection, right? People buy from other people, not because you have a great product, not because you have a great service. They want to invest into your story. They want to invest into you. And that is a trust factor. You want to think, when you're creating this origin story, how can people trust you? Why should people buy from you as an individual? What makes you stand out? So it has to be very unique. That's where your personal brand comes in as well. And by the way, to make it much easier, as publicists, we help craft that for you, right? We sit down with you, we make sure we dissect everything for you. And I have a 21-day personal branding challenge where I help you get your message across. For 21 days, we make sure we hone in on your messaging and create that compelling story for you.
I like that. And that's cool. So maybe we put some details in the show notes about the personal challenge, because that sounds very interesting. I'm assuming you kind of walk people through in terms of, on day one, here's what you want to consider. And then at the end, people walk away with, what do they walk away with? What do they get?
They walk away with immense knowledge. First of all, it's a one-on-one or it's in a group setting, right?
Okay.
So, I literally hold your hand. I hold your hand through the process. I also have this personal guide and journal that I've created, which is on Amazon. It's also implementing strategies and techniques that I use in order to create this compelling craft story. So what they will walk away with 21 days is having the origin story, what you should be focusing on, and we're dissecting it. And then what makes you unique as a personal brand, right? We're creating a personal brand.
That's cool. So, okay. So you said something a few minutes ago, when I asked you about that secret ingredient, and you said authenticity. And I feel like authenticity is, it's hard to really understand what it is. Like, to me, it's just showing up real, showing up as you. How would you describe that? What exactly is show up authenticity? Because I feel like in theory, it sounds pretty great. It sounds pretty easy. But when it actually comes down to like sitting down, okay, I need to write my origin story. I got to show up authentically. What does that mean?
Okay. Number one, you're writing this down. It's the challenge. What challenges did you overcome?
Okay.
Your passion. What are the passions that drive you?
Mm-hmm.
And then the pivotal moments. The pivotal moments. Not everyone wants to talk about the pivotal moments. It can be harsh. It can be very, brutal sometimes. What made you become this different version of yourself? How did you reinvent yourself? So talk about that. That's authenticity. Authenticity can have a lot of meanings. But when it comes to origin, it's about really honing in and tell us really what's in you. I want to unleash that story within you, and like an onion, right? We unveiling each layer. I want to know like that piece of you that you don't share with everyone. That is going to grab your attention. So I'm going to tell you something, just an example. I'm a college dropout. I'm a single mom. Now, do you think a lot of people listening to this will be saying, wow, that's incredible? And others will say, oh, wow, I can't believe she's credible to talk about this. Is she even credible? She's a college dropout. So a lot of people can look at it as a positive or a negative. Now, I pick my tribe. I choose whoever follows me is my tribe. I'm not going to try to have a story that's going to be compelling to everyone. I'm not trying to conquer all of social media. There will be someone who's going to be aligned with me. So find that tribe, find that community, because not everyone is going to look up to you, but those who will invite you to speak on their podcast.
I love that. And thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. So, and okay, college dropout, but yet, you're showing up in Forbes. I've kind of looked at your publicity or visibility, whatever it's called. And I've seen you've contributed quite a few articles to Forbes. I'm kind of curious, is there a secret? Like, how did you get into it? How did you get featured in Forbes like multiple times?
So it's all about showing up. It's all about knowing the right people. And I would say that it's not about what you know, it's about who you know in your circle and when they trust you. So I have an amazing group of people that I foster relationships, right? It's all about also in PR, it's about fostering relationships. So I fostered these amazing relationships and they started trusting me. So they see me for who I am, and they see the love that I have for storytelling. They see the love that I have for creating a very strong online reputation for myself. So all in all, I think what makes me credible to be in Forbes is because I have showed up, like you said, and people see that for myself. And I have hired a lot of mentors. Mentorship is so crucial. And that's what saved me. Mentors along the way in business, in storytelling, showed me the way.
I like that. What do you think are some of the mistakes designers make when telling their story? Is it like that it's too long or too vague or too salesy or not enough details? Like, what do you see out there when clients come to you? Maybe they already have an existing origin story. Maybe it's on their about page on their website, or maybe it's in their whatever PR collateral, like a welcome guide. What kind of mistakes do you see?
It's usually they go on and on, like it's a novel. Like think about elevator pitch. Short and concise, get to the point, sound bites. Even when you're writing and your compelling craft story, you need to make sure you understand that sound bites, whether you're speaking, sound bites, what is sound bites? When you're speaking, you have tonality, first of all, tonality, which means that you're engaging. You also have to engage in your story. And your sound bites have to be to the point. What am I trying to get across? Don't try to go around the story. Just be straightforward. And as a PR pro, what we love is a good narrative. And a good narrative becomes a story that creates a lot of buzz. That's what it is. It's grabs your attention. That's what we want. Grab our attention. Make it to the point.
What what's a good thing to grab attention with? I feel because I keep going back to like a good story starts with a really powerful hook, like something that immediately captures somebody's attention. That's why we spend so much time when we're writing social media posts or anything else. That's why we spend so much time on that first line that's gonna like grab the person by the eyeballs and says something like, yeah, pay attention now. Like what's that something that can immediately capture somebody's attention, or especially in the journalist's case?
So you see how I just told you, single mom, college dropout, turned to be successful PR pro?
Yeah.
Exactly. Look what I just did. And you were like, wow, how did you turn up to be in Forbes? Can you tell me the secret sauce? That's what it is.
So it's concise and straight to the point without, like in a copywriter's world, we kind of call it the throat clearing. It's like when you're going around the story and then finally get to the meat, to like you finally get to that something, the most interesting part. That's what it is?
Exactly.
Okay, jumping straight to the point. Cool. I like that. Should designers tweak their story depending on whether they're pitching media or clients or collaborators or any other third parties? Should that story be different?
100%. It depends what you're pitching. Absolutely. You need to tailor it. You need to have a couple of sale copies, I would say, right? Sales copies. So one goes towards LinkedIn, one goes through media pitches, one goes through TV. I mean, it depends what you're trying to target, but it has to be, the message has to be the same, but you need to add or take away depending on who you're trying to pitch, right? So, but the idea has to be the same. The point of who you are, the point of what makes you stand out. Why are you such a significant designer in your community? That should stay, because we want to find relevance in you. We want to find the way you resonate with us. But everything else can be kind of tweaked. You can't send out the same message to everyone. It has to be tailored.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm assuming you look at your audience of that particular pitch, and then that's what you tweak on based on what's relevant to that particular group.
Absolutely. And also the person, right? Yeah. It's not only about the audience, about the person, exactly what they like, what are they looking for. It's an art. It really is an art of storytelling.
Okay, so you keep mentioning storytelling. So we all know what storytelling is, but what's that trick? How do you make your narrative? How do you infuse storytelling into your origin story, into this brand narrative? What exactly is it? How do you make it? How do you make it into a story? How do you take your bio and make it into a story?
So the story has to be authentic. The story has to be consistent. The story needs to show credibility. Keep that in mind. It has to show your credibility. Storytelling doesn't just come from, like poof out of air. It has to make sense. Why are you a credible person to talk about this subject? And then you talk about what drives you, your passions, your challenges, the outcome, and the pivotal moments. All of that will create a very powerful story for you. And that is your origin story as well. Going back to storytelling, exactly what I just said, create that momentum as to what makes you credible. Why should people read about you? And talk about your uniqueness, right? That unique persona that people don't know about. That is your story.
When you say unique, I feel like a lot of people would struggle to say, there are some people out there, some designers out there, they know exactly why they're unique. Maybe it's their style in the way they design. Maybe it's, how they deliver a service. And of course, there are some people that would say, I have no idea what makes me unique. If you have clients like that, how do you help them arrive at that edge, at that differentiator? What would you say to people that are struggling to find their uniqueness?
So by the way, Masha, this is also my 21-day personal branding challenge. That challenge, it's very challenging to understand what makes you unique. So I have to take that story out from you. So in this challenge, what I do with my clients, I have them answer questions, right? They answer questions, and according to these questions are going to be tailored to the person. I find out what makes them unique, and it's different for each individual, obviously, because your story has to be tailored to you. You can't sound like someone else. That is a crisis, right? You don't want to create a crisis. You don't want to sound like some other designer when it comes down to you, like, but that's not your story, right? So we want to make sure your voice is there, right? Your voice has to be there so that people can recognize you. And that's the uniqueness in you. You need to make sure that you sound like yourself and not like someone you pretend to be. And that happens a lot. You see a person you look up to, like, oh my God, can I just take all of that and pretend it's me? I just want to be that. You can do that to look up to them. They can inspire you, but you need to have your own voice. And so another thing is, why should I even talk about that? Well, that influencer, for example, in the design community has 1 million followers and I only have like 10,000 followers. Do you really think my message is going to matter? Guess what? You are the messenger, and the messenger delivers the message in a different way. So don't be sabotaging yourself, right? That's the mindset as well. Don't self-sabotage yourself from saying, you know what, my message might not resonate because they have 1 million followers and I only have 10,000. And what makes a difference? You got to step into your power. You have to speak your truth, because guess what? For me to step into who I am took a lot. It took a lot of like personal development. I had to really hone into, what am I trying to do? What value am I bringing to my audience? And why should they listen to me? At the end of the day, why should they listen to me? And that's what I stepped into. That was my power.
That's cool. So I didn't mean to put you on a spot, but I'm kind of curious if you were able to share your origin story. Like, can you speak to, you've already mentioned some of the pivotal moments. You've already mentioned those two things that we like, that it's now kind of sticks out. It's memorable because you mentioned that and you led with that. But I'm wondering, what's your origin story? Like, what do you include in that?
So the very first thing I would include is the challenges that I have overcome. So the number one thing that really stands out was when I had alopecia, and it's an autoimmune disease. I was 25 years old. I lost my hair, and I had to find a holistic approach to my life in order to gain back that confidence. And at that time, I owned a styling concierge company. So that is my background. I was a stylist for 10 years. And so when I lost my hair, I lost my voice, because my presence and who I am, is everything. And I didn't know how to reinvent myself up until I started saying, I cannot trust doctors to put something in my body, to just rely on them. And I looked into my inner self and said, I need to find another way, a holistic approach to my way of thinking, because I'm doing something wrong. That was a very pivotal moment in my life, because the way I healed myself from autoimmune disease was incredible, because I knew that that was my superpower. My superpower was to pivot right away, not fall into that disease. I could have lost all my hair, and all this hair is mine. But what I did from that was I shared my truth. We all have a truth that hurts, but we don't know how people are going to react. And I wrote a book about it. So Be Epic. If you have that, if you look me up, Be Epic on Amazon. I wrote about my truth and what I had to go through in order to become the person and the woman I am today. And I'm grateful that I had to go through all of that. Now, if I didn't have that mental capacity to turn that disease into my superpower, I probably wouldn't be even speaking to you right now. But I decided to say, this is not the way my story is going to end. I hold the pen. I am in control, and I'm going to change this. And I use this as a story to tell you right now. You see how that changed me? So I told you about my challenge. I told you about how I pivoted. When I pivoted, so when I said, you know what, this disease is something that probably is telling me to reinvent myself. So I sold my company. I did it for 10 years. I had my concierge company. And I had this amazing woman while I was styling her. She said, look, you are a visionary. I see something in you. And that's my story as well. That's in my compelling story. This woman propelled me forward into the PR industry. She said, I want you to be my visionary for my skincare line. And so you know what? She was like my angel. I knew that I had to take that opportunity. And if I wouldn't have taken that opportunity when it knocked on my door, I wouldn't be where I am today. I was looking for to get into PR. I just didn't know how, because as a college dropout, I was literally told no, like I don't know how many times. I was rejected from 5 PR companies. I would come to these appointments and say, look, I don't have a college degree, but I have a lot that I can give you as leverage. My family comes from the hospitality industry. We own a restaurant on the Upper East Side in Manhattan. I have a lot of clients. There's so much I wanted to bring to the table, but there was only one PR agency that said, we are going to take you on. And they taught me everything I needed to know, and I brought them leverage, and that was because of that woman. So that is a little bit about my story.
I like that. And thank you for sharing that. And so the health challenge that you shared kind of resonated with me. Surprisingly, I have my own health challenge that I'm dealing with. So that resonated with me. But I'm just wondering, how do you decide what's relevant and what's not? Because I feel like what might stop some designers would be like, well, I'm crafting my story. I have this challenge, but like, it's not really relevant to design, or it's not really relevant to the work that I do today or the clients that I serve. So why should it make the cut? Like, why should it be part of the story if it's completely unrelated, if it's like a health issue?
Right, because a personal brand, and that's what you need to focus on. A personal brand is not about your professional brand. It's not about what you do. A personal brand, what makes you successful, is about everything else in your life that made you the person you are today. It's not about focusing on this. If you did something out of that challenge, like I just mentioned to you, and I didn't fall back, and I took that to, and I utilized it as a foundation to grow stronger, you should mention that, because it gets boring if you just want to be that cookie cutter design story. I mean, what sets you apart from all the thousands and millions of other 100,000s of designers out there? So at the end of the day, what I teach everyone is your personal brand story is about building on your personal story that makes you unique, and don't be afraid to share your story, because it will touch somebody, and that's going to create a ripple effect.
And that's probably going to bring your tribe to you. That's going to attract the right kind of clients.
100%. And it's going to show you in this most authentic way, in a vulnerable way, because guess what? People love vulnerability, right? We don't want to stuck up, conceited, I know it all. We all went through things, right? We all had our issues. That makes us human. So if you can't share that and you think you're just this perfect person, then guess what? I'm not really relating to your story.
Okay. That's a good angle to look at that. So let's say we've crafted our story. We've got our origin story. Now it's time for visibility. Now it's time to approach and pitch media. What are journalists really looking for? I'm sure there is, a whole bunch of factors that they're looking for, but what's that thing that makes them say, okay, yes, I want to feature that, whether it's a project or a story or whatever that feature looks like?
Well, it depends, right? Every journalist is different. So when I pitch to journalists, and I have a Rolodex of 250 journalists in my arsenal, I pitch to journalists on behalf of my clients, depending on what's trending in the media. For example, if it's Women's History Month, I will pitch them about a woman who is kicking ass in the industry and is a disruptor. So it really depends. You have to hone in on what is trending, depending on the month, depending what is really the media wants to talk about. So when it comes to holiday season, there's a lot of giving back. So we create a giving back campaign, right? And so I launched my nonprofit last year, and we give back to the next generation of change makers. And we bridge the gap between mentors and mentees so that the mentors can give the platform for mentees when it comes to different types of educational platform. I'm big on education, especially when it comes to mentors. I want to come to someone that actually went through that and had the ability to learn it on their own, and then you can pass down the knowledge, right? So that's the nonprofit I've created, and it's I see where it's going, and I see that it's something that people are actually it's something that's missing in a lot of people's lives. Mentorship is something that people should definitely, and I know I swayed in a different direction because you asked, but that's another thing. If you're a mentor, say that you are in the design community, but you're also a great mentor, why don't you pitch someone, a journalist, to saying, look, I'm a great mentor and so, and I think this will be a great way of showcasing my expertise. And also, I would say, find something that they already wrote about. Like, you need to know their work. What did they feature before? You want to make sure that you're not just pitching them because you're hungry to be featured, but you really want to invest in their time, into who they are, because you know their work. Same thing with me. When a lot of clients want to pitch their story to us, again, as a publicist, we do not go to the publications and start writing about you. We need to go through a journalist, right? So I'm the middleman that crafts your story and knows the people on the inside to send that story into, right? If you want to waste your time, I would say, and you have a lot of time in your hands and you want to pitch yourself, you can, but it takes a lot of time. And it's very tough because you don't know what they're looking for. You don't have that relationship. It's like a whole new 9 to 5 on its own to create relationships. Yeah.
I'm sure. Okay. So a couple of things that I heard is, first, research the publications that you want to pitch to, make sure you know the kind of content that they typically post. And then the second thing is relevancy and what's trending, what's current is very important. So don't be pitching holiday stuff during non-holiday stuff, or,
yes,
something like that. Okay, cool. Anything else that I haven't asked you about? What's important for people that are looking for more visible, or actually maybe there are other ways to be more visible to your target audience?
100%. So they're the most, I would say, cost effective and time wise, because pitching to these journalists will take a lot of time, and you don't really, you will probably hear crickets because they hear more from us, the publicists, because we already have those connections. What I think is the most, I would say, best way to go about getting yourself visible is create video content. So 89% of founders are aligned with people when they have brand videos, some sort of video about them. So if you're not being consistent on your video and your messaging, then you're not really, you're not trending. And sorry to say, you don't exist. So you need to find ways to make yourself relevant. So for example, this podcast, you're going to perhaps give me snippets, or there will be short form content that I can post. That is something that's going to be trending, and you're going to be visible, and people want to learn more about Masha, want to learn more about Liana and how they can work with us, for example, right? If you're not doing these type of videos, forget about everything else. Forget about crafting your story. Craft 1-minute video about yourself. Who you are, what you do, what makes you unique, and then let the world hear it. Once that happens, once you have that courage to step out of your comfort zone and talk about yourself to the audience before even writing anything down, we want to hear your voice. And remember, 89% of people are aligned with video content. So, and you see what's happening on LinkedIn. LinkedIn, now video content is taking over. There's a lot of video there. That shows you something. People want to hear your voice. They want to see you, the way you're speaking, your authenticity, how you relate. And you can tell a lot by the way people speak, right? If they're faking it, if they're just pretentious, or their story doesn't make sense. So your voice in this matter will show the most authenticity. So double down on video. That's the best advice I will tell you.
That's the secret thing. I know a lot of people are, because it's hard to do. It's hard to do video. It's hard to just turn on your phone or whatever it is and just unscripted, go unscripted, showcase the real you. It's a challenge, but I can see why it's so powerful, because yes, it shows your voice and your personality, but it's also like an easier to consume format of content, right? That's why people love video. That's why TikTok is like, off the hook. Off the charts.
Well, see, TikTok, I'll be honest with you, I have my TikTok account, but it's not for thought leaders, right? We are thought leaders. It's more for influencers and content creators. Yes, we need to be content creators in some way, but at the end of the day, keep this in mind. You are a thought leader. You're a subject matter expert. You're not an influencer. People want to come to you for advice, for expert advice. So that's what you need to keep in back of your mind. You don't want to come off as an influencer. You want to come off as a credible person. All due respect to influencers, but I would not take an influencer seriously if there is a subject matter expert, right? Who would I talk to about a certain thing that I want to learn about? Because I know influencers, they are paid to play, right? You pay them and they'll sell you a service or a product. But when you come on the video and say, look, this is who I am. This is why I'm trying to bring value. And this is who, please follow along and I'll give you all the tips. We want to hear from thought leaders, tips, tricks, strategies, and people will listen to you.
Amazing. Amazing. Liana, one last thing, if you could summarize the main components of an origin story.
Absolutely. So you have a story. We all have a story. That's why you got into design. Keep that in mind. Tell us your challenges, your desires, passion, what inspires you, the inspiration behind everything you do. And the last one is pivotal projects that change your career. We want to know those pivotal projects. Don't let those projects die. I feel like a lot of the designers are just using these projects, collect dust, but use them as case studies. Treat them like real clients.
I like that. I think, I agree. I think more designers should be turning their projects into case studies rather than them just sitting on their portfolio page, because it's just photos. But then once you turn it into a case study, that's where you can actually talk about, this is what the client originally came to me with. This was the solution. This is what we did. This is how we did it. This is what inspired the main idea behind the design. So it gives you such a richer context rather than this is a beautiful interior. So
right. And the outcome, right? We want to know the outcome as well. So the more you hone in into that, the more you make it alive and you become alive with your story.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, Liana, what's the question that I usually ask at the end is, what's one habit or practice that you've implemented either in your life or in your business that has been game-changing for you?
Yeah, gosh, I love that question. Surround yourself with people that will uplift you. It's all about proximity, right? Who are you in proximity with? Who am I sitting with? Because it's been proven that if you sit next to someone who has done greater than you, that's what they say, energy is contagious. You will get that energy. So I always have people who have done greater things than me. And this is my secret sauce. I always surround myself with people that I can learn from. And my very first podcast was What Makes a Woman. I wanted to learn from other women who are millionaires what makes them so successful. And that is what, created this ripple effect for me.
I like that. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. Liana, where can people find you if they want to learn from you, if you want to connect with you, or maybe they want to hire you and participate in the 21-day challenge?
Absolutely. You can Google my name, Liana Zavo. You'll see all the stuff about me, all the Eventbrite. So on Eventbrite as well, if you go into Liana Zavo, you'll see all the different events that are built around media training. I help you with media training. I help you with personal branding. So Eventbrite page is great for that. And connect with us on social media. LinkedIn is great as well. Please connect with me. It's Liana Zavo or Zavo Lunova. Official Liana Zavo on social media.
Amazing. Liana, thank you so much for coming on the podcast and for sharing so much great stuff with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Marketing for Designers. This is Masha Cohen signing off. See you next week.